YouTube, welcome on in. I'm chilling with the Twitch boys right now. We got a special treat. We haven't done an account review in a while. And this time we got the Apex Predator himself of V7, Apex 85. If you haven't met him or known him, trust me guys, you're going to like this one. Chat, say hi to YouTube, and let's go talk to our guest real fast. Apex, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing really well, man. How are you?
Chillin'. I'm excited for this review. So, if you would kindly just tell a little bit maybe about your, just a quick E7 background. It could be about anything, and then if you want to go a little bit into your playstyle or what people may want to know about you.
Yeah, sure. So I came to Epic 7 from Summoner's War, which, if you don't know, very similar game.
Yeah.
Many of the units are actually from Summoner's War. Started at launch, have been playing since then. Did Guild War, was primarily a Guild War player for the longest time in guilds like Life and now Veritas for many years. In terms of my playstyle, I just started RTA last season. I finished Emperor after about 300 games with a 65% win rate.
Very nice.
And I'm your classic cleaver with, the ability to play standard when I like, but I live by this win fast, lose fast philosophy. Try and grind a lot of games and get in and out.
I like that. Apex, so when you say cleaver, you would categorize yourself as a cleaver? Can you?
I would say, yeah, primarily a cleaver, but maybe pivot into standard where appropriate.
Okay, would you mind giving like just a quick maybe info for people that are maybe newer to RTA, what that kind of means between standard and like your definition of cleaver?
Sure. So in the context of last season, there were some pretty universal first picks that were neutral that you always took, these being Aravi and later on Rimu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So typically, if I'm in first position, I'll take one of those units. Then reactively, either transition into a Caesarea cleave, a ML Coer cleave, or other types of cleave. As you get into my account, you'll see that I have 5 cleave openers, and I choose them based on the different situation that we're in.
5 cleave openers, my god. Is that typical for a cleaver, or do you kind of go the extra mile?
I would say that a lot of the higher end accounts are able to do what I do. You'll see that, there's like 3 of them that are very fast and 2 of them that are just kind of whatever.
Okay.
And situationally, we flex into those.
All right, well, Apex, I'll say this, but we're going to start right now, guys, but I think cleavers, get those notes out, because I don't think we've had this in-depth of a cleaver review. I'm excited. All right. So I guess, Apex, we'll just go down the CP list, and then if you just want to give any extra info on the units, maybe how often to use, just speak up anytime, and then we'll pause for a sec. But I'll show the gear on all the units as we go down. All right, so first up, RB. Does this guy come up a lot in your drafts?
I think what's really important to understand about cleaving is it's about constantly changing your gear around to units as the meta changes. Because if you're a cleaver and you are consistently picking 5 units over and over, you're going to get zeroed in on. You're going to get identified, and you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
So what I will do is constantly swap gear on my top units. Like, for example, RB's neck right now is nerfed. So I can put a better neck on Closer Charles, which you'll see in a bit. So what you'll notice is I have units that are unbuilt that are key for cleave that I'll either rebuild or swap into and out of. And there's a lot of unused gear on my account, so I can kind of build a unit on a moment's notice if I identify a soft spot in the meta.
Gee, guys, so remember what I always tell y'all? Cleavers, a lot of people, Apex, they do what you say, or what you mentioned. They have one cleave set up, they kind of give all their best gear, and then they can do okay with that, right? But I think the really, really good cleavers, guys, you need so much gear, you need so many different cleave units, and then Apex has like spare sets, he's swapping around gear all the time. It is not an easy thing. I would say this is much harder to gear than standard. Would you, do you think that's an okay assessment, Apex?
I think that with standard, the benefit you have is you can kind of have a core of units like Landy in particular, Carrot, that sort of thing, that are just sitting on really good gear all the time. And you can kind of consistently run your draft back with a couple of small variations. With Cleave, you need an incredibly wide pool, and you need to be willing to constantly switch gear on and off of units based on how the meta is progressing in the season.
Got it. All right. Well, if you can give us a few tidbits on like the sort of meta maybe units that you were swapping in and out, and we'll let's keep going down the list. So
yeah,
Ida.
good example.
Go ahead.
Ida, no, it's fine. So Ida is a good example of a unit that's sort of being trialed in preseason. Mine's a bit too slow. You want yours to be around 230 with similar or better damage stats. But I was playing around with her a bit, and she's fun. I think that she's probably more of a for fun unit than something you'll see haunting RTA in this season.
Okay, but you said you would try to shoot for 230, but stay very offensive, right? Is the 59 effectiveness? You kind of want some on her, yeah? Just so she can land debuffs on like passive resist?
She's getting most of it from her imprint, and
okay.
she has kind of crappy boots. You'll notice there's some effectiveness on those.
Also, Apex, are we gonna see a lot of triple S units possibly on this review?
Unfortunately, yes. I think the one thing I'll say about my spending on this game is don't look at my packs, but you can look at my coin shop. I have summoned a lot.
Okay, actually, Apex, we'll go back to that in a sec. I forgot to ask. It's been a while since we've done a review. Do you mind giving a little background on maybe how much you've spent in the game so far?
More than I'd like to.
Okay, but we're definitely not going to say it's a free-to-play, right? We're definitely a spender. You don't have to give an exact amount, but it's quite a bit, would you say?
I would say I have spent an awful lot of money on this game.
Okay,
yeah.
So a lot, guys. So definitely not free-to-play account. And like I was saying, cleavers, the more gear you have, the better the gear you have, and swapping around as much as Apex does. He had to fund it, so. Ida, though, I think he said it's more of a for fun unit, but Apex can players that aren't shooting for maybe like top legend, she's still very good after her buffs, yeah?
She is. The problem you'll have with Ada is a lot of people, particularly in middle ranks, are just going to slam Violet, and there's nothing you can do. You have to ban it.
Okay. So just very hard counters to her.
Yeah, it was super hard counter.
Got it. All right, next up is Ren. This guy just kind of changed up the entire cleave game, no?
Oh, I love this unit. Absolutely fantastic, because he lets you forget about acid. This can speed contest an acid. You don't have to ban it. And with RNL, or even just his S3, you can kill the darn thing before it even gets a turn.
Oh, right. So the elaborate a little bit on the RNL, because most people are running Silver Rain, no?
So this is a point of contention.
Yeah.
I think that in Caesarea Cleave, Silver Rain is great because the attack buff goes on Caesarea and she can kill things. But if you look at my Caesarea later on, mine's a little bit different in how it's built to protect against the counter meta. Okay. So I devalue the attack buff and overvalue letting this guy take 2 turns, because if you hit that 20%, you could do something like take out an RB after he revives. Get another shot at something you've defense broken. It can really throw the opponent off balance.
Got it. All right, guys. So take note. We're going to get to Caesarea in like 2 units. So next up, Apex. This is one we were talking about off stream a lot. This is one of my favorite units at the moment, and I modeled mine after yours. Have you done any additional testing so far? What do you think overall of Spirit Eye Celine? And tell them about the speed build.
So with Spirit Eye Celine, I would say she is not for new players. This is a unit that is very difficult to use properly because she dies almost immediately to units that outspeed her and can double hit her, or things that can give her unbuffable or strip her, like Bellion, Politis, are really problematic for her. Rem to a lesser degree. Those boots are awful, but everything else on her is pretty good. I think that in general, this is a unit you want to take 4 or 5 when the opponent has opened themselves up to you, and if you can spare this kind of gear to just sit on a unit like this, it's wonderful to have her in your arsenal in certain situations. Yeah.
All right. So kind of a little bit like Ida, right? She has a lot of hard counters. She needs a lot of gear, but you always tell me too, right? And this is what I've told everyone. So fun. And when we say fun, we don't mean like it's not a bad unit. She's pretty good in the right hands, just not a always pick. We got to have good gear and we got to watch out for certain problem units. But speed, you think, is by far... Have you tried the Lifesteal build?
I have not tried the Lifesteal build because one thing about my account is I have pretty terrible Banshee gear in general. Mm-hmm. I am not a Banshee farmer. I'm a Wyvern guy. I've never really devoted time. But yeah. I think that the idea that she's going to Lifesteal back and somehow become relevant in a fight is sort of misidentifying how she's to be used in a draft.
Oh, okay, sure. Did you want to, you're talking about Spirit Eye Celine?
Yeah, I think that Lifesteal on her, it's making this assumption that you're going to be a long fight where she's going to get a lot of counters off, and that's just not reality with her.
Okay. Instead, you think the speed kind of aligns more with just more like her strengths, right? that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think you can play that style, but if we're saying like just which one works better most of the time, I think I might be inclined to agree after playing both. All right.
It's certainly better for me.
Sure, I believe that. All right, Vildred. I'm sure he gets picked sometimes for you, right?
So Vildred is part of the sort of speed imprint portfolio that every cleaver needs to have. If you are a cleaver, you need, or ideally would have, a triple S Vildred, a Shuri, a Watcher Shuri, and a Green Sid to pick into situations where you are speed racing somebody, which does happen on occasion.
Chad, y'all write that down? That portfolio, cleavers. Y'all better be taking notes. Apex isn't charging here. But yeah, man. So on top of that, though, we still have some good gear on him, right? Besides being just a speed imprint. Like you invested a 30 Sword of Summer Twilight. And now he got a new EE. Okay.
Yeah, he's okay. He should probably have about 400 more attack, but I'm not going to put crazy gear on him.
But you like the immunity? What's the immunity for?
So if he is up against a debuffer, it gives him a shot at taking his turn.
Okay, so just fast contesters. Like, can you give me an example of what might be outspeeding him?
If you run into one of those oddballs that's running, okay, what's the dark unit that's really fast? Spectral Rin.
Oh, Crescent Moon Rin, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you pick FCC, for some reason, you can protect yourself against a Fairy Tale Tenebria.
Got it.
A lot of different applications.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Now we got the Spirit Eye, or the Summertime Iceria, which you said earlier we need to make sure we look at because it's a little bit different than most, you said?
Yeah, I think most people run Summertime Iceria with a lot more attack than I do. And the reason I don't is because I noticed that I was losing games to unlucky counters and situations where like things like Celine for a while were hitting me and doing enough damage to kill me. So I really bulked her up. And I count on the ability to cycle her at her relatively high speed to take out opponents that are a little bit tankier. With, for example, they take Aravi away from me.
Okay. So instead of front loading our damage, we're going for a little bit of a longer match where she'll get more value after the first turn. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it lets me pivot. So if I'm, for example, taking Cerise instead of Ran to lead off the cleave, this lets me have some game against people trying to play a longer game against me.
Okay, so guys, this is not a like all-in strat. It gives Apex more versatility. So, and with a combination of the Ran, that's why we run the RNL, right? Because we're not worried about that front load attack. Okay. Next up, we got you Fiend. This must be PvE only, right? Expedition.
Yeah, I have a bunch of like PvE units that are pretty high up here. Like you're not going to run into a lot of 170k bomb model Kanas. But we can talk about it.
Okay. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
She's good in the new Light Expedition.
Right. I heard she's one of the best there. Okay. So that's where we're using it. And Uberi's Tooth, is that the artifact of choice?
I just threw something on her.
Okay, so it doesn't matter too much. All right. Milim. This one, though, a PvP unit for sure. Thoughts on Milim overall, Apex?
I think that if you're going to build Milim, you should not do what I've done here. And you should look at playing a longer game into people who are picking Landys and playing Standard. And potentially even running a counter build. So I just have some random gear on her to try her out, but I don't think she's really a fit for me.
Okay, why do you think that is? Just because of the longer match, or she's designed to play a longer match and you want to end things sooner?
I have much better ways to kill Landy quickly than her.
Okay. And so when you said like other players, do you mean just maybe go less attack and more bulk up a little bit, possibly?
I think you bulk up a little bit, take advantage of Dragon Eye and her evasion, try and play a longer game, get some counters, and fire off Dragon Buster when she gets a couple of turns going. Okay.
But in your findings, this kind of build hasn't been your favorite because you have other ways to do with Landy.
Yeah, and she just doesn't do enough damage, even with 4,400 attack and 274 crit damage.
Yeah, that's kind of what we found on initial testing. But the other build that you're talking about, the longer build, people have been enjoying, so I could totally see that. All right. Next up, Straws.
This is another sort of recently nerfed unit for me. He's okay.
By that you mean you took some gear in favor of other units?
Yeah, he's here to kill a Fallen Cecilia, Carmen, but little else.
Okay. So he just comes in later in the draft when your opponent really tanks up, and then 241 speed, 4k attack. All right. I mean, guys, that was nerf stats. I think that's still pretty dang good. Chad, anyone got a better Straws that has your best gear?
Oh, come on.
All
this
right.
gear isn't that good.
Chad, honest to God, YouTube, you guys watching too. When he says it's not that good, I don't think. I haven't built one in a while. 240 speed. Let me know. Someone try to build one right now. See if that's how hard that is. All right. Opsig though. Talk to us about Opsig. I think she's gonna be coming to Mystics or the coin shop soon, Apex. So tell us a little bit about her.
This unit is cracked.
Yeah.
This unit is nuts. Especially for people who lean on FCC. She's a must ban or they get obliterated by her. Pretty much the only thing that makes me mad about this unit is that Light has 18 more crit damage than I do because his ring and sword aren't purple.
But everything else is the same?
I love this unit. She's sick.
Wow. Okay. So for cleavers, Apex, how important do you think she is to pick up when she comes back to either the coin shop or Mystic summons?
She's so powerful in units with shields. I think that if you're looking to be a fast player playing cleave, she's a wonderful option to have in your portfolio, and I think that you'll really enjoy her.
How valuable do you think she's for standard players? Maybe even a little bit tankier players.
I think if you're a tankier player, this isn't really your kind of unit.
Right.
But I think that one of the interesting things about, and this could get long, but as RTA goes for longer and longer and people spend more time on it, having these sort of niche units that can really handle a certain situation really well is just so valuable.
Exactly.
So if you have a ton of resources, you want her no matter what kind of player you are. If you're light on resources, pick a play style and decide if she's in it.
Love it. Okay, so even as a tanky player, you're saying as a pocket pick, if you had a ton of Mystics or were wailing out, it's always nice to have these kind of units, even if she wouldn't be a mainstay for your playstyle, right? I like that. Okay.
Exactly.
You're talking about the Kana, 17K, 170K CP bomb model Kana. Where are we using this bad girl?
I am the god of Green Expedition.
Yeah, how much damage are we looking at?
1.2 million on auto.
My goodness. If we have time, we'll take a quick look at your team, but very nice, man. So she's the queen of Green Expo, huh?
Yeah, and you can use this garbage like DPS hits that gear on her. Great.
All right, looks good. Next up, Seaside Bologna. And this looks like one-shot SSB for Wyvern?
Yeah, I run the Rem one-shot team. She's key for it.
As a cleaver, I'll just show the stats in case anyone wants to see it, but as a cleaver, do you ever have SSB as a PvP unit or no?
All right. You want to see a whale thing real quick?
Sure. You have another one.
Sort by Blue Ranger.
Okay. Blue Ranger. Okay, so we got 2 backup SSBs ready to go. Is that what you're trying to show?
I may have decided to build some duplicate units, and
that's a second 30+ drink too.
Yeah.
Apex, do you know how hard it was for me to get 1 drink? Not a +30, just 1 drink, and you're sitting on 2 +30s.
Yeah.
Okay. That is definitely that's just whale things. All right. So let me not focus on that too hard. Closer Charles, I think this is like Opsig, right? In terms of how strong he is for aggressive cleavers.
This is a bananas unit. I think that when he came out, no one knew how to use him.
Yeah.
That's no longer the case.
How often do you pick him?
If somebody is picking a tank in their first 3 picks, he's on my team.
Wow. Okay, so as a cleaver, if they have a knight or ending tank, he's coming in.
Yeah, he can just obliterate tanky teams.
Is this 13 effectiveness, is that intended?
Oh, no. No,
it's just kind of there. I know some people like having some random effectiveness just in case, like when you're fighting, I don't know, like May Chloe's or something with a passive imprint, like you at least have a little bit to cover, but that's just, you didn't really care enough to change it out for something else?
It's one of those tough things. So I said at the drop that I've got a bunch of speed leads. He's one of them. So I've got Rand, Cerise, Closer Charles, Lytica, and one more that I'm forgetting about. And you have to make compromises on gear at this point. I would love for him to not have effectiveness, for him to have 300 more attack, maybe even 10 more speed, but it is what it is.
Okay. I mean, 280 still good. All right. They're asking about, I don't know, is Shepherd kind of is that what most people use for Closer Charles?
This is best in slot for Closer Charles, yes.
Best in slot, got it. All right. Next up, we got Solitaria, guys. Now, Apex, just give us, it looks like she's got gear on. Is she actually
I'm not really sure how she has 165 CP.
She's high up there.
This is an accident. I don't know why she's here.
Would you say Solitaria is an accident to the game?
Oh, yeah. Just a mistake.
Okay. So we don't need to say anything else. Move on.
Yeah, this is not worth your time.
All right, moving on. Top model Lilica. This is one Apex. A lot of people kind of the TML mains were a little sad that Milim kind of came in and did a similar role. Where do you think she lies or she falls after that?
I think she's still by far the best at killing Arbiter Vildred.
Okay.
I think that I would love her to be on the same speed, same stats with Pen. So she would be more usable. I don't really use this unit very much. I just have some gear on her for like Guild Wars and that sort of thing.
Got it. Okay, mostly Guild Wars. Wait, there's a Carmine Rose up here. This is also Expedition, or is this Light Expo?
Light Expo, yeah. She's great in that.
I've been hearing the new players that are struggling in Light Expo, guys. Carmine Rose, everyone is saying is so good there. And then, if you saw, Apex also has Green U Fiend, which some of y'all, or a lot of y'all should have. So, there's 2 units right there. Anything they need to know real fast, though, don't focus on it too much, Apex. Anything quick when they build up their Carmine Rose, just...
have enough defense. Enough defense.
You do have a lot of defense. Okay. So, damage and defense, guys. BBK, after the buffs, Apex, how's this unit looking?
Oh, there are people that just cannot beat this unit when you pick it 5th. Her helmet is insane.
The helmet, let's focus on the helmet. Jeez, 21 and we still hit like...
Yeah,
we hit
that
a max
cracked.
attack. Wow, okay.
This unit, when you pick it 5th, is a must ban in many situations. Just, again, we keep talking about this portfolio thing.
Yeah.
Awesome to have. And since I have her on this destruction set and I'm not using for anything else, it's great because it doesn't occupy other gear that I would put on other units.
Right. I'm surprised though you give her the symbol. So because typically that would be on a unit we use a lot, but for you, you like it on your BBK here?
Yeah, I think it's super solid. I think that I would probably swap it out as the RTA season started, but I've been enjoying it on her for Guild Wars, etc.
Okay, so for the 5th pick, can you elaborate a little bit? You don't, and by the way, Apex, if there's some things you want to keep on the down low, since we are starting the season this Saturday, guys, you just let me know. But is there, if you don't mind, can you elaborate a little bit on like what you're looking for when you bring her out?
So I have this guy who fought me a bunch of times. He's another cleaver who would first pick Watcher Shuri into me and just go all imprints and try and cleave me.
Okay.
And BBK he can't answer it. Just there's nothing he can do, and that's awesome. Having units that give you the ability to just negate somebody's draft if they open themselves up to it is super powerful. And if it doesn't cost you gear you're using or priority artifacts,
yeah,
that's just fantastic.
So you're using her as an anti-cleave tech or someone that was trying to outspeed you?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Wow.
They uselessly hit her for a while, and she just kills them all. It's
yeah.
great.
Okay. All right, guys. Next up, Acid. And this one, guys, for how much speed you saw on Apex's account, I was a little surprised, but this is a different style build, right? This is not a contester, obviously. Elaborate on what this is for, Ape.
So if I close or Charles you, your maid Chloe dies to this.
So we went
Goodbye.
hyper damage. Goodbye, maid.
Farewell.
Yeah, and I'm noticing a lot of portraits too. So, as a cleaver, this is where all the portraits. A lot of us, I think in standard, we don't run this as often, but I've already seen 2 or 3 from Ape side so far after like the symbols and stuff. So, he's still running just all damage, pure aggression. All right. Next up, Spectenny. This one I feel like you would still draft a lot, right? Spectenny's just kind of, especially for like banning Bellion maybe. Although maybe your cleave style. How often do you pick Spectenny?
If I have a weakness as a player, it's probably not knowing when to pick her often enough because she's so good, and I always sort of forget that I have her, which is ironic because Tenebria is like my big waifu in the game. I love Tenebria. I think I should pick her more often.
I think the gear is very good too, although I wouldn't be surprised, Apex, if you said this is just okay gear for you. I think this gear is really nice, no?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's like a 70 gear score average, something like that.
That's pretty good. Oh my god. Guys, if y'all have no clue about gear scores, 74 gear score average is insane. I would say if you're 60 gear score average, you can already get to like Emperor. That's fine. Apex is pushing 74 average, and he said that's pretty good for him. All right. But yeah, he said not knowing when to use it. I could see that. All right. Politis. This one. Apex, where does this fall for cleavers? Still very good,
This is your classic counter pick. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that this is a unit that has a very clear purpose, and when she's good, she's great.
When she's good, she's great. It makes sense. So when we need her, she'll work. Other times, you know, like she only comes out during those counter scenarios. All right. And we opted for just mega fast. You still went for a little bit of defense. Is that correct? Or is that unintentional?
I think it just happened to be on the pieces, but it's nice if she could take a hit from a unit that doesn't hit very hard.
But the main thing you wanted was the speed? 227.
I wanted the right speed, and I wanted the damage.
Got it. All right. Next up, Rimu. One of the most problematic units at the moment. And this build is mega crit damage. Can you talk to us about the build here? We did opt for the, we call it like the 222, right? The crit pen immunity. Interesting build.
I just put this together, and I'm not sure if it's good. I have a speed build for him too.
Yeah.
My conflict comes from needing immunity on him. I really think immunity is great on him, given his passive and the way his abilities work.
Yeah.
And I think that you really want the pen, so you can have him threaten extremely tanky units. I wish I had better sword and helmet for him. I think that would really improve the build, because he's a little too squishy at this speed.
So you just want a little more bulk?
Either more bulk or more speed. I think I have a 20 hat that I'm debating putting on him, but it nerfs his damage a bit.
Okay. Got it. And so this is pretty much, you would say, still testing? Still kind of in, you just slapped this on, we're still seeing how it works overall?
I'm trying this out. It works okay. I think that there are situations where I get punished for this build, though.
All right. Got it. Next up is Faithless Lytica as one of the premier cleavers. Do people that I always get asked, Apex, is she still good? And I have no clue what to tell them. I don't see her often. Where do you think she is at the moment?
I think if you watch Lady 7, which all cleavers should, you saw this unit a lot today. And I think that she has tons of potential in certain situations. The big problem she has is she's AoE to enable her, which is a big risk in many cases.
Sure.
But she can be extremely useful in certain situations. I would like for her to be faster if I do commit to using her, probably in the 290 range.
Would you say, though, how important is she for a cleaver to have in their portfolio, as you would put it?
I would say that if you were looking at the priority for openers, you would want to make sure that you had Closer Charles, Mediator Koeric, and Ran, and potentially even Cerise built ahead of this unit. And then she would get your 4th speed set. I think she's on my 5th speed set.
Okay. So she still has a place, guys. Show the ring. Yeah, it's right here. 20 speed attack main stat. 5th pick. All right. Falconer Clury. Is this a PvP build or is this possibly? Yeah, this looks like a PvP build, right?
Dark Expo.
Oh, this is Dark Expo. JFA just for the damage.
Just because I threw something on her. I think that, you know, she doesn't really need anything in particular to do Dark Expo well, so I just threw some stats on her with that. Wasn't using it elsewhere.
Got it. All right. Next up, we have Landy. How is Landy doing for? I would imagine we don't use her too often, Ape.
I have nerfed this unit a lot. This build sucks.
Yeah.
I think that you want to commit to the bulk or to commit to the damage and speed. There's this really interesting new build for her where people run her very fast that you'll see players like Kana use.
Yeah.
That I'm interested in trying, but I haven't tried it yet.
Okay. So kind of also, and she's in limbo at the moment. Might be getting a new build soon, but he was saying pick her more aggressively. Or higher speed is what he wants to try. Next up is Senya. Does she see any play?
This unit is sick. And if you want to see a great version of this, look at Rikazo's build.
Yes.
I know you mentioned him.
Guys,
Mine's
check it out.
not quite as good.
I was comparing, before the stream started, I was comparing ApePecs a little bit to Rikazo, although now that we're looking at the actual account, it's pretty different. However, Rikazo does swear by this, and they do kind of share some similarities in playstyle, but go ahead, ApePecs, sorry. What were you saying about Senya?
No, it's fine. I think she's really underpicked, especially for players that are slower. This is a unit that gives you game against cleavers through her RNG mechanic. This is a unit that gives you game against tankier units and longer fights. I think she's super underutilized, and if you have a Senya on your account and you're struggling, maybe look at giving her a try.
And real fast, you think the S1EE is the best?
Yes, 100%.
I agree too. The artifact, though, this is kind of one people go back and forth on. If it's not maxed out, Apex, do you think there are other viable artifacts?
Oh,
'Cause
certainly. And you can look at other options.
Yeah.
I think she has two problems as a unit, though, that her artifact and her EE solve. The first is a lack of sustain, which the EE helps with a lot, and a lack of damage at times, which the artifact is super helpful for.
Yeah, the E was kudos to Smiley for designing it. But let me cycle back real fast. You said that you're kind of giving some tips to players that maybe are fighting cleavers, right? You said people aren't using her enough, especially the slower ones. And you said she's very good to fight cleave because of the RNG, the kind of way her kit works. And like, if you just roll really well in terms of not getting crit, in terms of, you know, countering, what kind of build do you think? First off, this is your build though, right? Do you think this is the build players should run in general?
Yeah, I think you want to aim for about 6,000 attack and as much
Wow.
defensive stats as you can, and then
Yeah.
as much speed as your fourth priority. I think that if you want to see a great tutorial on how to use her, tune into Rikazo's stream for a couple of hours and you'll see him consistently pick this into faster, more aggressive players and turn fights around on her.
So even as a slower player though, you think the attack, we prioritize high attack and then get as much bulk and then some speed?
Yeah.
But we want that damage. All right. There you go, guys. Okay. Next up, Fire Tenny. Expo?
Used to be. I think she's just been sitting on this gear for a while. I haven't touched her.
So she hasn't been used. She's sitting on the bench for a while.
Now, in Season 1, before Dizzy was available, I ran a super fat counter Tenebria, and
Yeah.
she was awesome.
I remember Tenebria back in the old seasons actually being viable, but that's when like half the units didn't exist. Nowadays, you don't have much use for her?
No, none.
Okay, got it. Remnant Violet. All right, Apex, you got to talk to us. I kind of saw your take on this a little bit in chat earlier, but overall thoughts on Violet?
I think that he is the unit he's like a break glass in case of emergency unit. You don't know what
like
to
that.
do.
Yeah.
Something bad has happened in the draft. What do you do? Well, it's Rylet time.
Guys, I think that's a perfect unit for me. How many of y'all are like, oh god, this draft, I don't know what happened. I don't know what to pick. Well, I think that's a perfect unit for a car. So Apex is saying we're breaking that glass. This build though, we're going for maximum damage.
Maximum damage with a little bit of defense.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Next up we got Fire Meru.
And this one, this unit was good.
Yeah, so what happened, Apex? Because when she came out, a lot of people were really praising her. We would see her in a lot of drafts, and then she kind of vanished. What happened, do you think?
I think that she's very slow. Her base speed is not good. And I think that once people realized ML Haste completely ruins her life, things changed with her.
What is it about the haste that kind of stops her from just her revive plus haste providing sustain?
Yep. Plus, there's so many strips in the meta now that if she doesn't have her attack buff, she isn't really a unit. So unfortunately, I think that it's a case where a unit was good because people didn't know how to play against her. And once that got solved, she got a lot worse.
Okay. Do you think, would you still advise players to build her up or maybe hold off for now because she's kind of not in a good spot?
I think if you're a low resource player, she is an awesome option for you. Her revive is super powerful. She has built-in mitigation, and she does just an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage when she pops off.
Okay.
But if you have better options, you should probably use those.
Got it. All right, moving on. This guy definitely Expo, right?
I am the God of Green Expo.
God of Green Expo. And this is the best debuff setup alongside the best DPS Kana. Okay, all right. Cerise, this one you mentioned a lot. I think she is insane, right? And your gear is insane too.
I think she comes in and out of the meta. And her problem right now is Rimuru. Or Rimuru, or
Sure.
God, how do you pronounce
We got you. I just say Rimu to keep it short, but go ahead.
Yeah, Rim is a big problem for her. But if you pick Rim, she's fantastic. And what people have to understand about Cerise is she's not just a cleave unit. She lets you pivot into a slightly tankier bruiser draft because of her S1. So she's super strong in situations where you're fighting a guy who is bruisered up, and you may not be able to one round them with your cleave options.
Yeah. She cycles so fast and controls the match. Your gear though, like 300 speed while on immunity. What's the immunity for, you think, Apex? Do you encounter a lot of people that are going before your 303 speed?
Look at the chest.
Yeah, I see it. So is it kind of we just have immunity because we have a super fast Immunity chest. Okay, guys. Has it ever come up that the immunity was we needed it?
Not that I recall, but
Yeah.
it's a little swag, you know.
It is. I like it. It's just the flex on kids. Okay. Next up, Fairy Tale Tenebria.
So I slowed her down and tanked her up big time.
Why is that, do you think?
Because she's really useful in those sort of bruisery fights that I was talking about Cerise with.
Okay.
And I want her to be able to take a hit. I actually beat YD for the end of the season because she was so tanky and got a turn even though he got off his whole cleave.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, I mean, it's still fairly fast, and we still got the effectiveness and with the bulk. And do you think Crown is her best artifact?
100%. No question.
Okay. There you go, guys. Fairy Tale Tenebria. Next up, Lilius. Oh, wait. Is this actually being used, Apex? It's an interesting build.
I just built this for, what do you call it? The Hall Trials thing. By the way, if you're trying to get your Nilgal achievement, her and Charles this week only, baby.
Oh, it's a good time to jump on it? And we need we need an ER Lilius?
If you run an ER Lilius that doesn't get poisoned on that artifact that gives the shield, you don't need heals. And in the first 2 rounds against the Hall of Trials boss, you can easily do 10 million damage to the boss with the Ruined Charles.
All right, guys, a little extra bonus. He's talking about the Dagger Sakaar achievement for Nilgal. He's saying this week, ER Lilius plus, you said Green Charles?
Yeah.
Green Charles, all right. Oh, yo, thank you, Gamer Owl. Oh, hell yeah. All right, Apex, give me 1 second for this alert.
3 months. Here's the 3 months and you helping me learn the game enough to hit Challenger.
Much love, man. Appreciate you. All right, LRK. I imagine he only comes out in niche scenarios?
Remember him.
Remember him?
Remember LRK. There was a period of time where this was like the unit, right?
Yeah, top pick, contested every time. He was disgusting.
This unit sucks.
Oh!
Don't pick him.
Wait. Okay, Apex, are we saying from Cleave Brain, like Cleaver player mentality, or is this just in general?
Just in general, he's bad. Don't pick him.
Whoa, okay. Guys, we might have to bring Call in sometime to talk with Apex. All right. So, from Apex's viewpoint, sucks. And he didn't get changed at all. He just fell like a ton of bricks, Apex, from the meta.
Yeah, he fell out of the meta. He's too slow, doesn't do enough damage.
All right.
He's built for a different version of the game than what we're playing now, where aggressive units rule.
Spicy. All right, I like it. So speaking of, when LRK was at a high, this guy was also seen pretty high up there too. Maybe not at exactly the same time, but I think they were in similar, the Golden Boys era. What do you think about A Tywin right now?
I think this is a very powerful unit that is being underutilized.
Interesting.
Not my playstyle at all anymore, and his build is strange. You should probably optimize him toward effectiveness or damage. But I think he's incredibly strong, and I think that you should look into maybe integrating him into more drafts. He has not stopped being a very good unit.
Okay, and what kind of player do you think would best utilize him? Even you as a cleaver, you think you respect him, or is it more like you understand he's good? But I don't imagine you really having too much success with the way he kind of operates.
I use him in certain anti-cleave scenarios, where, for example, they've picked Sage Bale.
When the cleaver picks Sage Bale?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cleaver picked Sage Bale into me. I think it was YD.
Yeah.
And this was a great way of dealing with that.
Okay. And then for standard players, you think A Tywin is just really solid and underutilized?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great unit. There is not a lot of free immunity in the meta right now, except for ML Cowrick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's super strong in many situations. Don't sleep on him. Stop sleeping on him. He's good.
He is being, like, we don't see him as often. Okay. T-Cern. Do we even need to talk about her? Apex?
Just really quick.
Yeah.
This unit is still very awesome in certain anti-cleave scenarios.
Tell us about it.
I have garbage on her now. That F should be crit chance. She needs a bit more speed. But I think that there are many cases where this unit cannot be dealt with by the opponent team, especially if the opponent team is very aggressive.
When the opponent is very aggressive, you think she's still good. What are we watching out for, though? To her hard counters? Anything with, like, extra procs,
very
right?
Bad.
Yeah.
Very bad into Rimu. Very bad into that unit.
Okay. But still, you think worth having as an anti-cleave option, at least on some gear, because she can work on like. Well, you said this is not great gear for you, but I think a lot of people would struggle even to reach these stats. But even on a little bit less, yeah, okay, still worth having, and we put her on Dreamblade. All right, Karen. I'm assuming this is Wyvern one shot or something.
Yeah, I have to keep all Karens built at all times because that's my wife's name. So I have a special thing where I make sure they always have gear on them, even though this is terrible.
Well, shout out to Mrs. ApePecs. Elfelt.
This is great for Dark Expo, or not Dark Expo, the Kaidisan.
Okay.
I have not used this unit in a very long time, but there was a time where I used her as a cleave opener, and I think she's still pretty cool in certain situations to do that.
Still pretty cool, but not really. You wouldn't call her like meta for cleave, right?
Her big problem is she's got that double 15%, so she's incredibly risky, and there are just safer options.
Okay, got it.
But if she's what you got, use her.
All right. Yo, Luca, Gunther, he's missing a weapon, and he's still super high CP, but we don't need to talk about him, right? Damn, second Maxi Berry's tooth. Made Chloe. What do we?
This isn't a unit that I play a lot, but if I did, I think these are okay stats.
Okay, and just as a cleaver, that's the reason we don't pick her too much.
Yeah, not my style.
Got it. Next up, APOC though. Is this unit your style?
I think she's everybody's style.
Yeah,
this unit is insane.
She's too good. I think if a unit fits every playstyle, guys, and like everyone wants the first picker, there's something wrong. They did something wrong a little bit. But anyways, tell us about your APOC Ravi Apex.
This is
very high
different
bulk.
build.
I'm
yeah,
surprised.
It's a different build that I'm trying. I had her on an attack ring. That's on my Rylet now, an attack pen ring.
Okay.
And I'm trying this sort of Crimson Seed play a longer game build, but I had her on Azure Comet during the season at 85 crit chance, roughly the same bulk, and 2100 attack.
Right, the typical cleaver A Ravi, and now you're going a little tankier. Yeah, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I think that I'm trying to branch out a bit and have more game in standard scenarios, and this is sort of my effort to do that.
Okay, so it's more you wanting to play standard. It's not like maybe like the Solitaria where you don't need her to end the match early. You want it longer. This is more just you're trying to change a playstyle up a little bit.
Yeah, I want that flexibility.
Okay, and I think APOC Ravi, guys, queen of flexibility. Not in that way. All right, Apex. Let's move on. Great Chief Kawana. Katie's right.
Katie's, yeah. When you're slow farming it.
You don't need any Mola.
I don't think so.
She's been working.
Maybe. Yeah, she's been fine.
Okay. Zahak, this is what chat wanted to see. So he's kind of what everyone's been talking about lately. And I definitely think he's your kind of unit. Now I'm surprised to see we got some bulk on this bad boy. What do we tell us about him?
So I rolled a ring, and that dictated how I built him.
This ring? This flat defense, crazy subs ring. Oh my god.
So I said, what if I just made him bulky and picked him into Violet and, probably took my turn right before Violet and killed Violet? That sounds pretty good, right? So I have him in that niche.
So right now for you, he's mostly just specifically an anti-Violet unit.
Anti-Violet, anti-Rem, anti-Aravi.
Wait, Violet, Rem, APOC Ravi?
Yes.
Is this enough to kill like the standard 20k HP Ravis?
Enough to almost kill it.
And then with the injury.
And survive.
Okay. Interesting. Do you think, is there any other builds maybe you've tried out, or what do you think about Zahak overall? Maybe in a playstyle that's not just versus those three. Do you think it has viability?
Let me be real with you a second.
Yeah, be real with us.
This unit kind of copium, to be honest.
Real? Oh, chat. Okay, guys, if anyone doesn't know what copium means, can you explain that for us real fast? Apex, what do we mean by copium? Chat, spam the copium so they can see what it looks like.
Copium is a substance you inhale to help you with coping, as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It is the liquid form or gas form, depending on your formulation,
right,
of coping mechanism.
So maybe he was a little bit overhyped, maybe a little overvaluated in your opinion?
Either that or I'm doing it wrong. It's early in his build.
Yeah.
It's early in his use case. And you got to give this stuff time. Everybody wants an answer right away. I don't have it. Maybe he's good and I'm just doing it wrong.
Well, still, regardless, you still have a build that you still employ, and like, you know, you justified some gear for him, and he has a spot. It's just not like a mainstay unit. But APOC, Robbie, Violet. You say Ren was the third one?
Yeah, and
Okay.
on that point, because I think you made a good one. When you talk about like how to build units, it's important to really know why you built a unit the way you did. Not just throw stuff on it because you saw it somewhere else, but understand exactly how this unit is to be utilized. I have a very clear scenario where I'm going to pick him, and a problem a lot of players have, especially with new units, is they slap some gear on and they say, I'm using this everywhere.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not how it works.
You know, Apex, thank you so much for that compliment, bringing it back a little bit. Guys, he's exactly right, and sometimes with these account reviews, I don't state it enough. A lot of y'all will take notes. Overall, though, maybe I should start saying the start, right? Even though these are some of the best players you will find, try not to emulate the playstyle exactly or the stats exactly, because one, you won't be able to reach these. I doubt anyone here will be able to copy all of the builds, let alone maybe even one unit, right, chat? Let me know. But I think I didn't say it on this review, but I think Apex is mentioning what I talked about before, and hopefully maybe I can make a guide on it or something. But trying to find out what the unit is for, and as y'all can see from Apex's examples alone, he has so many different units that have specific niche scenarios where he's using them, and they're all catered to his playstyle. So he already mentioned like this is not typical for the Cleaver. This is a different style of build. We saw in the Caesarea, now with the Zahawk. Was there another one? There's a few others, right? Apex that you kind of have a different.
Yeah, like how I built my
Stamina.
A-Ravi to be less cleave oriented.
A-Ravi,
you know.
sure. But yeah, that's an interesting note. Okay, moving on. We got the Ruel. This one, like Made, I'm assuming doesn't get played too much.
Look at those stats, though, baby.
I know the stats are what would make non-cleave players, tank players, envious of, me included. And you don't even use her. Is that correct?
Guild Wars from time to time.
Oh my god, dude. Guys, she's only being used in Guild Wars. She's triple S. Dude, the 2000 exact defense, 20k, 20.5k health, almost 200 speed. The ER, it's got everything. Water's Origin, though, I think I was asking you about this. Does it still proc enough with how high your defense and HP is?
And it never procs because I don't use her. But I think that one tip with her, too, if you go back to the imprint.
Yes,
If you have a Ruel imprint, you can, in the RTA screen, when the fight is starting, swap your imprint. And this is the type of unit where if you do have imprints on her, it's very important to know that. Because often, giving your other units a little bit of defense is super valuable compared to giving her 18% health. And you need to remember that you can do that in the RTA screen when you're picking your team.
I think that is definitely underutilized. The only issue I would imagine Apex is probably part of that reason is not a lot of people have triple S, especially ML5s. But you're right. I'm sure there's players out there that aren't fully swapping this when, you know, it comes with knowledge maybe or some experience, but true. Okay. We got a SC Pro Horizon. What the heck?
Is this your kind of girl? Is this your kind of girl?
She's my favorite Banshee sister, but I'm not too much. Not a big Banshee sister fan. Why?
That S3, it's pretty cute.
So it's more of a you just like this unit, right?
Yeah, she's got some random crap on her, but you know.
Okay. She's high.
Very, very kawaii.
Got it. All right. Fire Shuri. This is wait. He wasn't in your portfolio of units you were listing, right?
So this guy, you get him a lot, right? He's a 4-star. You should probably get him periodically. That is the fastest imprint in the game. So when you're in speed contest scenarios, you gotta have it.
So we still need the Fire Shuri. How often, though, realistically, Apex, do you think he comes out when you're fighting? Just in general in RTA, how often have you picked him, like in the last season?
Not a lot of people try to race me, so not that much. But every now and then.
But you do need it because he's the highest speed. All right.
He doesn't need real gear, by the way. Just random stuff.
Random stuff, boys. AOL. I want to hear your thoughts about AOL. Aola as a whole.
Yo, can we remove this unit from the game?
You think she's still problematic?
I think it's a problem that I have to pre-ban this thing all the time. And when she is in the game, she makes it incredibly unfun to play.
Apex, what kind of build do you struggle fighting the most on the AOLs? Is it the super fast ones? The bulky ones?
I think the fast ones are probably the correct build. She used to be 286. I took some of the better stuff off of her because I just ban her all the time.
But
I think the fast ones are the big problem.
and when you fight the AOLs, is it the people that have a fast AOL? Are they also like maybe aggressive or cleavers, or are they kind of standard players?
That's the problem. She's good in both situations. She
Right.
shuts off those big cleave S3s. She shuts off your standard options. She exposes your Landy to danger. I mean, she does it all. It sucks that she's in the game. Get her out of here.
Okay, get her out, boys. T crows it. It's so weird, Apex, with your counter reviews, like the Ruel, I'm skipping the maid, I'm assuming T crows it maybe when you fight other cleavers, possibly? When do we maybe see this guy? Because it looks like he dedicated some gear to him.
All right. So sometimes people know who you are, right?
Yep.
And they know what you're gonna do. So they're like, aha, this guy's gonna Caesarea cleave me. I'm ready. And their first 2 picks or something, then you drop this guy out there and they're like, what is going on?
Yep.
And then you go into a standard draft and it's very sad for them.
And you also got that APOC Ravi building up too for that standard. Okay, I see where we're heads at. So that's pretty much what he's for. The Flan, this one I'm assuming we use a lot.
Man, I used to.
Oh,
and
really?
then I became a Cerise stan.
Yeah.
I should probably trade her gear with Cerise's so I could have her 296 immunity. She's so good. But I was just tired of dealing with Politis, and too many units were a problem for her, so I deprioritized her. She is very good in the fast Landy draft, which I may be giving a try.
In the fast lane draft. Apex, I'm going to do a quick just scroll through chat. Okay, so AWOL, and I called Apex out on this, guys. He has so many ML5s and 5 stars triple S. I think you're just being lazy on this one, right? You don't really care. Like legit. Oh, she's only missing 1. I don't know. Anyways, everything else, guys, I think so far has been triple S pretty much. Even the Zahak, my goodness. Okay. Yeah, so he said Flan very good. Roz, Expedition missing artifact. You don't really use him, right?
I do sometimes. I put him on the artifact that I threw on Lilius.
Let's go find it real fast. Which one was it? Where's Lilius at?
It's the one where he gives a shield to everybody. I forget what it's called.
Rise of a Monarch.
Yeah, that one.
I do like that on him because he's so fast. And you said you do use him for RTA sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes if you S2 somebody with A Ravi, you win the game.
Ah, with the A-Ravi stand. Okay. You're right. We are showing a little flexibility with that standard kind of play. Terranor Guard. Expedition, right? Not Wyvern?
I am the god of fire expedition.
Wait, I thought that was Earth Expo. Are we the god of all expos?
I'm not going to say that. There's this fellow underscore in my guild. Shouts out to him.
Yeah.
Who is just disgusting at expos, but I'm pretty good.
But compared to everyone else, god of expos. Okay.
Yeah, demigod.
Demigod of expos. Got it. Iceria. PvE only?
PvE.
Got it. Okay. Here we go. All right. One of the biggest problem child, I would say. I hate this dude because I don't have him. Just talk to us about this. And also your build is I think it's very different compared to a lot of people.
This unit is so hard to make fast. If you look at the gear on him, this gear is so insanely fast.
22.
It's like really, really hard to make him quick. But if he is quick, he can be so disruptive and difficult to deal with. And he's really cool if you bring a bunch of like single target units with him. That's where he shines. So, being able to bring this unit into certain situations where you're going to bruiser it out and you just want to enable your bruisers with immunity and attack buff.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
My God, man. So we talked about your specific build form. What do you think about Kuwarg? Just how good is he as a unit in general?
I think that he is. I think he's difficult to judge because there was a period of time at the end of last season where he was incredibly strong.
Yeah.
And I think that now that's less the case. I think that people have sort of figured out how to play against his single target strategy a little bit. It's similar to Mercedes, where he was incredibly powerful for a little while, but people kind of gathered what to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're up against this guy, you can kill his help, right? And if you can natural speed cleave back into him, he can't do a whole lot about it. So keep that in mind. He also has terrible base speed, so you can go over the top of him with faster units and cause problems. Like if somebody slams this and you slam Caesarea cleave into him, there's not a lot they can do.
Right. But you're saying people are figuring out the weakness is just being outspeeding and killing the units he's around instead, right?
Yep.
Okay. will be hard to outspeed your choleric, I would say, Apex. So you kind of addressed that weakness in your eyes. I like that. All right, moving on. D Lilibet. Oh God, talk to us about this armpit lady. Armpit
Why
girl.
does this unit exist? Why hasn't she been buffed yet?
Yeah. So do you think she has any use right now in the current state of the game?
I think that yeah, we talked about copium earlier.
Yeah.
And that prepared people for my opinion here.
So Copium 2.0, or she's the original Copium, I think, right? Yeah.
She's
Okay.
just too difficult to use. If you had predictability around when she was going to proc and take the turn away, if you had a better ability to take that turn and get that CR boost, she'd be awesome. She doesn't have that. She's difficult to use.
Do you think she's the unit that needs to buff the most for ML5s?
No. There are other units that I think are more in need than her.
Which, off the top of your head, what
One is just below here, SBA.
SBA?
Kisei, Solitaria in particular, who just does nothing. There's a couple units that I think come in front of her.
All right, I think we mostly agree to that, right, guys? Whenever we talk about the most needed buffs, Lilibet, Kisei, Apex said, what was the other one? Solitaria.
Yeah.
And then SBA, yeah. All right, Shadow Rose, I think we don't need to talk about her. Crow, same thing with all your other knights. Maybe when you play a little standard-ish, but Crow in general, not used as often, right?
I think he's another unit that's slept on. I think that he's actually pretty strong, especially in a world where people are running around with opsigs like mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carmen usually takes priority over him, but consider taking Crow instead of FCC early in the draft.
Because of all the sleeper opsigs that kind of just force you to like either banner or just risk like losing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Violet. So we talked about... Yeah, go ahead. Where's this guy? What do you think about him right now, Apex?
Man, I'm so glad that he's not good anymore.
So interesting. I've been saying he's definitely used way less, right? So is this a Fire Mercedes? We kind of gave a good example to start with, and we used it a few times now. Is this a Fire Mercedes situation?
No, I think other broken stuff just went over the top of him.
So
I think that...
Okay, so it's not really people figuring out how to fight him. Do you think Zahak had anything to do with like seeing him way less?
I think maybe Zahak is an option into him that really helps.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, he was on the way out before then because of things like Rimu. Aravi's really good into him, etc.
Okay. Overall though, do you think he's still a great unit, just not nearly as like first pick or must like always seen? Or do you think he's actually kind of not good anymore?
Yeah, and I got a little pro tip.
Yeah.
You're struggling against Caesarea Cleave. Get that pen gear off of him, put him on immunity. If he's rocking immunity into a Caesarea Cleave, he's actually a big problem.
Whoa. Immunity. And then I'm assuming though we just have to ban all the strips?
Well, the strips may not hit, especially because most of the premier
like
strips in
Cerise.
the game right now are water. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Got it. Ran and Cerise. Yeah, true. All right. SBA. In terms of Apex's viewpoint, must buff. So, are we not using her at all?
Not at all. She's a very good girl, though, and look at that smile.
She's one of the best looking units, I think, especially MLs. All right, Rem.
Want to slap a lizard for a weekend?
Wyvern one. Is this one shot? Is it the one shot build? Okay. Green Bell, don't need to talk about. Amelia, this is a Sawyer though. I would say you probably pick more than the other ones.
Yeah, when I dabble in standard, she's just so good. Just an amazing tempo advantage.
Yeah.
The ability to constantly keep your units topped up, to get rid of their debuffs, and to give them priority in the turn order is just huge.
Oh, yeah, we have a correction from the chat. They're right. I was saying Cerise would still be 50-50 because of the ignore element. Okay.
Yeah, but against cleave, and this is a mentality you got to have. You have it as a cleaver, and you have to have it against cleavers. Is you got to take those 50-50s.
Sure. I think they're just correcting when I said Ran and yeah. We got it. All right, C-Dom. Do you pick her a lot?
I miss her.
She's not.
No.
Is it because of Bellion or what?
Look at that. I mean, she's just sitting on garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bellion makes her hard to use. unless you pre-ban Bellion.
Yeah.
And you really don't want to AoE into stuff unless you're ready, because she's just dead on a counterattack from the wrong unit.
Gotcha. Okay. Carrot. Also, a unit probably fell off big time. What do you think? Is she still, how do you feel about her?
I'm glad she's in the game. This is a free-to-play unit that just about anybody can have and make good.
Isn't that nice, guys? Everyone was freaking out when she came out. It was ruining the game. And now we're kind of like, you know what? It's nice that she's there. But yeah, I agree. So definitely not picked anywhere as often as she used to be. But as a free-to-play option, it's still very, very solid. Do you think she has potential as an anti-cleave unit? I remember people were doing like Carrot behind Troublemaker Crozet to fight some cleaves.
I think if you want to use her, there are a couple of interesting ways. Anti-cleave is rough because she can just get op-sigged into Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
I think making her very fast is an interesting thing you can do. Like, if you can make a very fast Carrot, like 270, 280,
yeah,
she's pretty interesting.
What is the point of that? To just catch people by surprise and kill maybe some squishies? On book?
Yep. If they got a Landy and you're 280 on this thing and US 3, it's probably dead, right?
Just go mega speed. All
Ruin
right.
their day.
Yeah.
And then they remember who you are. They're like, who the hell is that guy with that 280 Carrot? God.
Sure. That's a new tech. All right. DN. A little. So we don't use her, right?
Scuffed
PvE.
Amelia.
It's, damn,
Scuffed
30
Amelia.
rod though. Okay. Crimson Arm, and we mentioned this a little bit. You do have gear on her though. Maybe when we go a little standard, when we dip our toes into the standard play. Nice stats
Yeah, this
too.
is the other tank. This is the other tank, right? A lot of people build her on counter. I do not have counter gear. She's fantastic. Just soaks up so much mitigation. I think she's a safer earlier pick than FCC in many cases. And if you're really leaning on your FCC, consider weaving her into your drafts more often.
Is it mainly because of the op-sig that we keep referencing?
OpSig is a problem, and there are a lot of units that punish FCC's shield. And I think that being flexible in how you conduct the early phases of your draft as a standard player, and knowing how Crimson Armament drafts work relative to FCC drafts, is a really important thing for you to understand if you're trying to be good at RTA.
Interesting. Is there like one quick tip you can just... We don't want to spend too long on that, but I want to hear. So just one quick pro tip on the Carmen versus FCC besides the OpSig. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you meant by that? Understanding when or how they interact?
Carmen gives you much more mitigation.
Right.
Much more. She is incredible at soaking damage for your team.
So this right
So
here,
if-
guys. Yep. After her buffs.
Yeah. If you're running your a bruisery team, I would argue she's better than FCC most of the time.
Just because of the raw mitigation.
The raw mitigation is gigantic.
I think with the barriers, it's closer, but as you said earlier, there's a lot of anti-barriers, there's a lot of strips, there's a lot of things flying around that maybe... Carmen's you can't stop, right? Her, unless you have... Well, no, you can't stop it regardless. Maybe some ignore damage here, but that's about it. Okay. We ready to move on, Apex?
Yeah, just noting that it also says she's super cute right there in her description. So
Does
keep that
it?
in mind.
Okay.
Super cute guardian.
I mean, Carmen's not my favorite chat. Carmen Yerne, she's cool. All right.
The armor's tough, but look at the thighs, man.
The thighs. Listen, man, we want to talk thighs. I got to show you. Have you seen the oven roasted turkey character called Rowana? Those are some thighs, dude. Anyways.
We'll talk later. We'll
talk later. Kitty Clarissa, does she have any play in RTA? This is probably Expedition, right? Or sorry, Holo Trials maybe? Expedition, where are we using her?
Ricasso used her as a Caesarea counter, and I think you can too if you make her faster than this with the same FRS.
Okay, but right now your use is just PvE.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Bellion. And we're on counter. I need to hear your take on Bellion. Kind of how I asked you about Rimu, Carrot, all the other units, Violet. What do you think about Bellion overall?
Are we a foul language approved stream? Is that a thing?
On Twitch we are, but for YouTube, let's keep it a little tame, if you would so kindly. Yeah.
Nuts to Bellion. Nuts to her. I don't like her very much at all.
Uh-huh. Because
I
she's
think
so good, or what?
Oh, I just the randomness, the endless RNG casino of deciding if you can push a button to hit the enemy team.
Yeah.
And if she pops off, there's just nothing you could have done differently other than pre-banning her.
Yeah.
I think that units like her are very annoying.
Okay. What do you think about counter versus the injury?
I think injury is that word we were using earlier. Copium.
Oh no, I didn't want to hear that. Okay.
Injury is not great. She should be able to kill without it.
So you like the counter because people have to focus their enemies because of the Elbrus, right? So we go counter. All right.
You want this unit countering constantly.
Got it. Okay. BM Haste. I mean, Apex, do we need to say anything about him? He's insane, right? He's just a good unit to have.
Yep,
like we bust him out when we need him, and he does his job. There was one. What was the tech you said though? Him versus Fire Marrow, right? I think that's the first I was hearing about that. Okay. All right, very good unit, guys. And his build is pretty standard. It's very nice gear. All right, FCC. We talked about her a lot. You're on a bruiser build. Is that intentional? Like, are we messing around, or this is actually where you like her?
Sort by Dark Knight.
Sort by Dark Knight, is that what you said?
Yeah. I want to show you something I do.
Oh, no. Is there a second? Well, she's not Molid, though. Is it second FCC?
Not Molid, but here's what you do. You run both.
Yeah.
Right? And you pick the one you need. I need to put Mola into her. I will eventually.
Uh-huh.
That way you could have the fat one and the McDonald's one, right?
Yeah.
And you use them on the different skins for two reasons. Number one, it helps it so you don't confuse them in the pick menu. And number two, her original skin is better.
Oh my god, this is some whale tech, boys. We even have the two differing skins. Wait, did you say the skin is better?
The original skin is better.
The original skin is better.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say this. Oh, wait. First, can I get your take on Spectenny versus her skin?
Spectenny's original skin requires a man of discerning taste. So I don't mind if people think the newer one is better. I think the voice in the newer one is much worse than her original voice.
I think that's fair. I didn't go... Anyways, yeah. Okay. Chad, y'all agree with that? YouTube as well. Let me know. Apex's take on the original is better. I will say this, though, Ape. In your defense, the FCC, one of the best designs based, so it's hard to improve on it a lot. If anything, I'll give you, like, a side grade. But, okay. Moving on. He's got two FCCs, guys. Shit, we lost our spot. So, we were at Apex. We got so many units built, and they're all, like, built pretty well. I know you kind of underplay here and there, like, not the best, but my god. Oh, wait, what the... What is this?
All right. There comes a point in every young boy's life where you get a little bit bored of the game.
Yeah.
And you start doing stuff like this. I have used this in Guild Wars against friends.
Okay.
If his base stats weren't so low, man, this unit'd be sick. Look at his abilities.
Oh no, I know. We did like a way back in the day. We did like a fodder battle, and the dragons were busted. They do like all AOE, right, on all their skills, and then unable to be buffed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn. I would actually be, guys, if you lose to this, like let's say you fight against Apex, don't be ashamed, all right? Because he actually gears it out pretty well. All right, Rowana. Nothing. So real fast, Apex. Respectfully, I forgot to include that last time. Respectfully, like when we talk about thighs, you know. Actually, you know what, guys, Rowana's okay. Let me not get into it. Apex. This is not what that kind of review is. But overall, Rowana as a unit. Kind of like Haste. We bust her out when we need her. Anything else you need to say about it?
You know, just want to say quickly that there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and we can move on.
Okay. Agree to disagree, my man. Dizzy. Counter build. Any use?
No.
Okay.
Worthless unit.
God, that's such a shame. But guys, to put it a little less bluntly, he's not technically wrong. I think maybe some people can still use him or her here and there. But yeah, most players now, it's yeah, she's not in the best spot. G-Perg? Wyvern only? Is this PvE? What is this?
I think this is one of the correct PvP builds, actually. I threw him in Wyvern for a minute.
Yeah.
I threw him in Wyvern for a minute. But if you just have him sitting around, giving CR boosts to your team and being hard to kill, he can be really good.
For PvP, like where are we busting this out?
So there's a lot of cases where people will pick like very high threat AoE DPS and too early to draft. And if you drop this dude in and you have units that can survive that very thick AoE DPS like Alencia,
yeah, you know what?
He's actually really good.
People have been bringing like G-Perg Alencia versus like Bellion, and it's been an issue for me.
Yo, Alencia, dude.
Yeah. Are we gonna?
She's for real.
Are we getting
She's
to
for
her?
real.
Okay, let's keep moving so we get to her, guys. First off, Apex. This is one of the longer reviews, but don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying every second of it, man. I'm surprised just how much content you have on your account, dude. Right, guys? I think compared to a lot, there's all these units are built, and the thing is, most players like Apex. If I was to talk to a cleaver, they're not like you dip your toes into standard. You have all the knights and soldiers built as well, even though maybe you don't use them as often. Like his freaking Ruel is used just for Guild Wars, man. So we got a lot to talk about. All right, LQC. Pen immunity crit, of course. The build Uberius Tooth. This is the third plus 30 Uberius Tooth, by the way. Did you just pull those, or did you actually like powder when they were in the shop?
Dog, I made some mistakes in
Yeah.
my life. You know, she should have more attack. By the way. She needs 4K. She needs 4K.
4K, but you like the Uberius Tooth, and on 130 speed you don't like Hellcutter and dropping crit?
I would if I could, but I can't.
Just your gear gave you too much crit. Is that the thing?
Yeah. Too much crit.
Okay. All right. But standard LQC, nothing else needs to be said?
Yeah.
We bring her
else.
out versus A Ravi?
Every now and then, you know.
Got it.
She's fun.
Okay. Leo, maybe Banshee, maybe something, Expo, something. Tama,
Yeah.
PvE Queen.
PvE queen.
Apex, quick thoughts on Tama as a waifu?
Man, this is another case where the skin made her worse, and when she is in her pre-idol form, it's rough. Man,
Yeah.
brush your hair. Brush your hair, lady.
Whoa, hey, I kind of like the messy style. I think it's okay.
I mean, it's
Apex likes the
alright.
clean cut, like, okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
like that you've taken care of yourself, you know?
I mean, there's like some flower petals. She just finished a concert. Anyways, CZ. This guy, I think, definitely fell off. I don't see him anywhere. Is this Copium too?
I mean, the build's okay. I
High
don't ever
defense.
use this thing.
Yeah, like even not good in the Caesarea cleave. Not like no one really plays full control. Does he have a spot in the meta? RTA meta, I mean?
I think that if you are playing against people in Guild Wars and you have a low resource account
Yeah.
and they use debuffs, he's very good.
So Guild Wars, but he's still a very good PvE unit, needless to say. Sage. Oh wait, he's missing a ring, Apex.
Oh man.
yeah.
You should we can throw a ring on him if you want.
Okay, because where do you think is he definitely good as a unit?
Yo, where Benwar at? Is Benwar in the chat by chance?
I fought him yesterday. I don't want to talk about.
Oh
Ben,
man.
yeah.
So
What do you want me to put
Benwar
on him real fast?
swears by whatever. We don't have to, but this unit is so strong against Cleave in some spots.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget Benwar when he plays this thing. He just says, "Let God clap his hands."
What kind of build?
Yeah.
So let me give me an idea. It doesn't have to be exact, but like, are we looking for more health, more speed? What am I looking for here?
Probably more health.
More health. Main stat health. Just give him maybe.
Yeah.
Okay,
whatever.
sure. Just to look at him, right? So 20k. Is the speed important when we're talking? What kind of build is this? The bend,
Yeah.
the bender style build, yeah.
Benwar style build has him much tankier with higher FRS. I think Benwar actually gets to put an extra piece of gear on his sage bale. It's ridiculous.
And it's for anti-cleave?
Yeah, it's for anti-cleave. It's for control. He can shut you down, survive your hit, kill a unit on the way back after he's slept your team. He can be very frustrating to fight against as a cleaver, and I almost always ban him out of reflex.
So tanky high ER is the speed point important? Do you remember? Because I've heard
He's
like
very important.
if we're fighting like Caesarea, we need like mega fast. But do you know what is Bender using his like yours would be like 230, 240 depending how much speed you want to give him?
I
Is
think
that
he
okay?
runs like a 25k HP, like 18k defense stage. His is nuts. I don't even remember what's on.
Okay, just mega tank. All right. So very good unit according to Apex right now. So Charles looks like PvE. Guys, I'll answer any questions after the review. Sit tight. We'll be on for a little while. Silk. Damn, high CP Silk. DJB, is this unit Copium? This poor
he's so
guy,
copium.
dude. Oh my god.
This thing does nothing.
Actually,
he does nothing.
Apex, whenever we talk about most needed buffs, we always leave him out because he just got buffs, but I think he probably needs something again, no? He's just not good.
Well, here's the thing. He is good
Yeah.
at doing a very specific thing that isn't good.
Okay.
He's one of the best cleansers in the game. It's just that that's not a very good thing.
Okay, fair enough. Ayla, I think we're nearing the end of the review journey. Is there any, ACID? Guild Wars only?
Yeah, Oxlots Guild Wars only.
Oh, sorry. Oxlots, excuse me. Oxlots, Guild Wars only. Is there anyone else I need to stop over here? I'm just going to hover down quickly. We got a Christie in the works. Syngelica, I'm sure sometimes maybe you'll bust out.
This is for Wyvern, but yes, I think that Syngelica is a unit, especially in Guild Wars, that is very strong and very slept on.
Okay.
In fact, in season 2, when we won first place in Guild Wars, she was a critical component of us doing that against like RB teams.
I believe it. But Apex, imagine caring about Guild Wars in almost 2022 until it
And
gets
that
revamped.
hurts. Hey, can I give a brief editorial on that
Please
real
go
quick?
ahead.
2 seconds.
Yeah, go. Take the
Yo,
floor.
guilds are your friends, right? You're
Mhm.
hanging out with your friends, you're playing together, you're working together towards something.
Yeah.
And they need to emphasize that more in the game. So I'm very excited for them to release the PvE guild content that's coming out, because giving us more reasons to play together as friends and share trade strats and that sort of thing, I think is super important. It's something they've lost sight of a bit. So I'm hopeful they bring in more guild content so that we can all hang out together and talk about the game.
I agree so much. Luca, you hear that? Masha, if you're lurking. Guys, I'll just say this, though. There might be some slight copium. Apex is, I feel like this guild dungeon thing is not coming. I think it's under. I think they had to revamp the whole thing because we haven't heard a single peep from it when it was supposed to be in the summer. I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I agree. I think that that team aspect, right? The co-op, not even just co-op, but it's your guild mates. You're right. I do remember how fun Guild Wars when it was the main content and how it made like the people you fought alongside. It felt a lot better, but yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath on any of that. All right, we got a second RB here. I did find something because you mentioned your second FCC. So is this guy counter RB, DGen RB?
You don't really need him anymore because Rem exists, but he is still useful in some situations against some very, very niche players.
So Rem is kind of the new DGen RB, pretty much. We use her in the same roles, and she's just better.
Yep.
Okay. ML Ken, real fast thoughts.
Stop picking this unit. It's not good. Don't do it. I know you think it's good. I know it's worked for you a couple times.
We love him.
lowly
He's
team.
such a cool unit.
Oh, hell yeah.
Here's the problem, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Hannah
ML
Chester's
Ken
up for
requires
20
you
months.
to know exactly
Almost
how
a
much
team leader.
damage the enemy
Hope
can
you
do
wow.
for him to be good. So it's like you would constantly want to change his build.
Yeah.
He's probably not good. I'm sorry.
He's not
That's-
good, guys.
It's
All
that
right.
simple.
Apex, anything else you want me to stop over? Fire Robbie, do you think still worth having gear on? I think she's a nice like backup fire unit.
If you don't have APOC, she's still great.
Okay.
She dropped out of the meta because APOC is just a better version of her, but she's still very good. And when you're talking about lower resource players or players who may not have the pool that I
we were doing
do,
a lowly
don't
team.
think, oh, I never see Ravi on
Oh,
a
hell
stream.
yeah.
She must suck. She
Dwarven
doesn't suck.
sisters
She's
up for
great.
4
Yeah.
months. Good day.
I agree.
It's
Torm and
true of
Raffle,
so many
thank you,
units.
boys. What were you saying?
I'm saying that's true of so many units.
They're still good. Just units, kind of better units took their spot because they're broken.
I think the other one unit I'll mention briefly,
Oh,
because a legend player has really been leveraging him,
Yeah.
is Ludwig. Ludwig is very
God.
solid.
Yeah.
I need to put her gear back on. Alencia, I think, with
Yeah,
her
we
new
talked about this
S1E,
Uh-huh.
she's for real. She's an A-Ravi type threat, and she's good into A-Ravi type threats. I think
So
that
the
she
increased
is
mind eye
very strong.
chance is that's the one you're opting for?
Her big problem in a more aggressive meta is you can't count on Mind's Eye.
Yep.
But if you build her about 20k HP, 16k defense, 200 speed, with as much crit damage you can muster,
Mm-hmm.
I think she's actually really solid in the meta right now. So I've been MLMing people as much as I can.
And you mentioned earlier we busted her out versus like those AoE units, and sometimes even alongside like the G-Perg. So heavy AoE stuff.
I think you'll be seeing Alencia next season, and I think in a couple weeks we'll be talking about her.
Okay, guys. Maybe the E was kind of all. I think it's a combination of both the new exclusive equipment plus the meta maybe shifting a little more favorable for her. But she's, yeah, like Apex is saying, guys, we've always given respect to Alencia. One of the best kits overall, just slightly either inconsistent, ignorable after the S3, or, just doesn't fit the meta. But Apex is predicting big comeback. They're asking, does she need pen set?
I think Penset is really strong on her because her S1 into her S2 with Penset
Yeah.
will kill almost anything.
Interesting. All right. Well,
And
let's see,
I think-
guys. I'm excited.
I'm seeing some things in the chat.
Mhm.
Like, don't crap on these units. I think that one thing that players do a lot, that is something that you got to stop if you want to be good at the game, is writing off units entirely because they don't see them on a stream, or somebody makes a comment like, oh, she's just not very good. You need to know what your units do. You need to be willing to try things. And I think that writing units off is the difference between really good players and just okay players.
Amen. I will say, just play devil's advocate. There are players out there. Remember, we kept referencing like low resource players. Sometimes they do have to catch streams, Apex, to see who they need to invest their limited resources on. But if you do have the means, if you are like a later game player, you do have a lot of resources. He's exactly right. Think a little bit outside the box. Try things out for yourself. And just because like the top legend players aren't using them doesn't mean they're bad. For sure. I think that's a very good point. Apex, I think if there's nothing else, we can chill and do an AMA. But is there anything else for the YouTube review? Did I miss anything? Anything else you want to say for the YouTube audience?
I wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me to come. I had a wonderful time.
Apex.
And I appreciate having the opportunity to share.
We've had more of a pleasure. Thank you so much, especially for the cleavers, guys. The portfolio, that's what I'm going to call this. The portfolio cleave. Take those notes. And there's even just tidbits for everyone, though. Standard players, meta, just good stuff. Uh-oh. I don't know if that's going to be caught in the stream. Ace, give me 1 second. Let's wrap it up here. Apex, I'm going to cut this, but stick around. Let's do a quick AMA, and then I just want to chat with you, especially on some of the, the thighs we mentioned earlier. Not safe for YouTube, though. Guys, if y'all want to watch and catch some of this content, make sure y'all stop by Twitch, okay? Thank you so much for hanging. Big shout out to Apex. I'll have all his links. Apex, wait. Do we stream or YouTube at all?
I do stream and will be streaming when the RTA season starts, so check me out at twitch.tv/Apex.
All right, guys. I'll have all his info below. Thank you so much for watching. And, yeah, come by the Twitch streams. We'll catch you next time. Peace out, everybody.